After 13 minutes of game played, Brazil won themselves a penalty for a foul on Matheus Cunha in the area, but Bruno Guimaraes has just missed that one. The Norwegian goalkeeper, putting in a very, very decent save to deny the Selkau. This came after Norway had scored in the 3rd minute of the game. Was it the 3rd minute or the 2nd minute of the game? But that goal was ruled out for offside because Alexander Soroth was in an offside position when he engaged himself or involved himself into the action of play. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back with you on this beautiful Sunday evening / night / morning / afternoon, depending on wherever it is that you could be joining us from for this watch along of the round of 16 between Norway and Brazil. I mean, that's a great save from the goalkeeper, but there's something about these penalties where players run, stop, run, and then take the penalty. There's something odd about them. And if you noticed, majority of the penalties that goalkeepers have saved in recent times involve penalty takers that behave in that sort of manner. I don't know if it's I don't know if my personal observation in that respect is wrong, but that is what I do think is one of those things. But he decided to try and place the ball. He did not go for power. Anyways, Bruno Guimaraes missed the penalty. A lot of people are going to be asking, why was it not Vinicius Jr. who took the penalty? Well, it's easy to say that because if Vinicius Jr. had missed the penalty, I'm sure somebody else out there would be saying, Vinicius Jr. is not our best penalty taker. Why the hell was he even taking our penalty? So, the rest is history. But it is what it is. Anyways, I hope you all had a wonderful Sunday, this 5th day of July 2026. So, anyways, you let me know. Oh, July 20. Apologies. I was just having our audios tested right there, but it looks like we are good to go. And I will be waiting for all of you guys to join the conversation tonight, as you oftentimes do for these watch-alongs for the World Cup. If you've just joined us, Robert Kesakos is my name, and good evening to you all. Do let me know where you're joining us from. Just in a second, I'm putting up a poll question for you guys to, make your vote, participate in our poll by letting us know who do you think will come out on top in tonight's fixture between Brazil and Norway. Who do you think is going to win? Your predictions down in the comment section. I, for one, I think Brazil will eventually come out on top. But I say that with a little less bit of objectivity because, as you can see, the colors I'm done. Never mind that one star is missing to make it 5 World Cup representations. But it is what it is. I hope you guys, participate in our poll question as I get it started to run. So do please participate in the poll question and let me know where you're joining us from. What sort of result would you want to see in this game? Do you want the game to go into extra time? Do you want Brazil or Norway to win it in regular time? Do you want it to go to penalties? Your views and thoughts, your predictions are what we can discuss in the next couple of minutes down in the comment section. Otherwise, I hope you are all good. Let me know where you're joining us from, and we will get the conversation going. Remember, guys, wow, nice defending there. Nice piece of defending in there. I do suspect a couple of Brazilian fans out there may have gotten their hopes high up every time they arrive in the box because they've looked okay going forward. They've just yet to find that finishing touch, that clutch touch that you need in the final third. Thus far, they've been the dominant side in the opening quarter of the game and slightly beyond. But we'll see. It's not all about dominancy. It's about putting that ball across the line into the back of the net, and you will win yourself the game of football. Somebody called Austin G says hi. Hi, Austin. Where are you joining us from? Please partake in our poll question for tonight in regards who you think will win tonight's tie. Do you think it's going to be for Brazil? Is it going to be Norway? please take your vote in there. But also, you can leave us your score prediction down in the comment section. We'll be reading it out and perhaps discussing its merits. Adlan Famani says hi. Hi, Adlan. Where are you joining us from this evening? You say snow. What does snow mean? Austin says, I'm from South Carolina, USA. What time is it in South Carolina, USA? Because for me, it's 19 minutes past the hour of 11 p.m. When I'm coming to you live from Kampala, Uganda. Small landlocked country nestled away in the eastern part of Africa, also dubbed the Pearl of Africa. We are enjoying the World Cup as it is. Forget not that at 3 a.m. East African time, England are going to be up against Morocco at the Mexico City in Mexico. Yes, England had hoped that the game would be sort of brought a little closer for them because it's going to be 1 a.m. In UK time when that game does kick off. But the kickoff time was retained. Austin says it's 4:20 p.m. Wow, that's quite the contrast in terms of hours apart. Now you can imagine. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, almost 8 hours apart between the two countries. Adlan says, I am from England. Okay. Are you enjoying the game? Are you looking forward to the England game against Mexico? Do you have hope in that game? Do you have any nerves to settle? Do you have any fears? Do you have any concerns over Thomas Tuchel, over any players that could be selected to start? We know for a fact that players like Richard James is just returning from a hamstring injury. We know that Declan Rice is struggling with a bit of a back issue and a slight hamstring, and yet is one of those key members of that squad. We know that Mexico in a high altitude area, so that could impact on the England players and how they cope through the game. So what are your expectations? Do you have any reservations whatsoever? You say, I just subscribed to your channel. Thank you so much, Austin, for your show of kindness. I hope you are good. I hope it's not too late to say, but happy belated Independence Day to you, Austin. I know yesterday was Independence Day for you, the Americans. I don't know if the celebrations have continued through today as you mark your 250th anniversary of your independence. Brazil, ball control in the last couple of minutes has gone in the favor of Norway to the tune of 60% there for the Norwegians. But that's the fixture. So far, 5 votes cast, and 60% of you think Norway will come out on top, and 40% think Brazil. Well, that does not leave me in high spirits, knowing that I'm rooting for Team Brazil to win this one, I want them to come out on top and advance to the quarterfinals. And whoever goes through here will meet whoever comes through between Mexico and England in the other game of the round of 16. And then we'll progress there through bit by bit. So this is the first game of today in terms of the evening kickoff. I know for those of you that witnessed some action last night, you may say otherwise, because depending on the time zones anyway of your respective countries, that game between France and Paraguay may have come at a time when you're already into another day, just like the case was for us. Anyways, allow me run through the starting 11s for these both teams so that we make sense of how both teams are set up and who are the danger men. Of course, Vinicius Jr. is out there. Brad Erling Haaland is out there for Norway. Martin Odegaard is out there. Bruno Guimaraes, who provided that assist for Gabriel Martinelli as they won it late against Japan, is out there. And he has started this game. So quite an interesting bit of a game. But Brazil have Alisson Ramsey Specker in goal. They have Danilo and Douglas Santos, Marquinhos and Gabriel Magalhaes in their center-back pairing. They do have Bruno Guimaraes alongside Carlos Casemiro. They do have Gabriel Martinelli and Ryan on the other wing. And then they have Matheus Cunha and Vinicius Jr. in what appears to be a 4-4-2 kind of system. And then on the side of Norway, Matheus Cunha trying to appeal for another penalty here. but the referee waves it all away, says there's nothing in that. He says it's a man's game. Play on. Hi, Viola. Good evening. How are you doing? How has been your Sunday? I hope you've been okay. Anyways, on the side of Norway, they have Nyeland in goal. They have Aja, that is Christopher Aja. They have Rayson. They have Hegman. Sorry, they have Hegim. They have Wolfie. They have Patrick Badge. They have Sander Badge, Martin Odegaard, Alexander Soroth, Brad Erling Haaland, and Antonio Nusa in a 4-3-3 system. Remember, Antonio Nusa did score a brilliant goal in their last outing there as they advanced to, at the expense of Ivory Coast from the round of 32. So Antonio Nusa is one of those dangerous players that Brazil may want to keep an eye on, in addition to Brad Erling Haaland, in addition to Alexander Soroth, in addition to, Patrick Badge, who does play for, I think, Bodo Glimt in the Norwegian top flight. So quite interesting. But I think Brazil have looked good going forward. It's that final, last touch that is missing. That final pass, that final through ball, that attempt on goal, trying to maybe go from distance. They are still lacking a little bit of that. Do you agree that, Gabriel Martinelli deserves, to start in this game? Because, this is the first game that he started at the World Cup. Does he merit starting? Does his work rate, according to me here, we know he was deployed as a number 8 as against Japan, and then he came up with a goal that won them that tie. So quite interesting, anyways. But also, I want to say thank you so much, Sir Ryan. I want to say thank you to Epicando, Reluctant Gamer, and every single one of you that was part of last night's broadcast. We did that broadcast, and it was sort of, one of those days when you're a bit fatigued and yet you have to carry on anyway. But you guys kept me company, and it was well worth it for a little over 2 hours as we went through that. Okay. The referee sends us into the hydration break after 26 minutes played. Ordinarily, the hydration break usually comes around the 22nd or 23rd minute of the opening stanza. Was he thrown off balance? The referee ruled it was just a shoulder-to-shoulder kind of tussle between the two players, quite physical. Guys, please partake in our poll question for tonight. Who do you think will win tonight? Is it Brazil, or are you going for Norway to win tonight's fixture? Who are you rooting for? We've seen some early scares in this game with Norway taking the lead. That was before their goal was ruled out for an offside in the build-up involving Alexander Soroth, while in the 14th minute, Bruno Guimaraes did miss a penalty that was given after the review on VAR. Now, obviously, tonight, one of the hottest takes or the biggest news tonight is FIFA suspending the red card for Folarin Balogun. Now, make no mistake, I was of the view, and still am of the same view, that Folarin Balogun's red card versus Paraguay was harsh. Sorry, it was actually versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. I thought it was harsh, as USA won that game by 2-0. Nonetheless, for the first time in this tournament, FIFA are choosing to revoke one of their rules in a bid to uplift a red card or a suspension. And they're not actually uplifting it. They're simply postponing it or procrastinating it. It's not the first time they're doing something like this. They did it on Cristiano Ronaldo so as to permit him to participate in the opening 2 games of the tournament. It was a suspended sentence, for the red card that he sustained. Now, they've done it in a spectacular fashion against Folarin Balogun. What do we know in this particular case? The White House made a direct call to FIFA. As soon as that red card is suspended, the US president, Donald John Trump, goes on Truth Social to applaud FIFA's action. Now, tell me that's not influence peddling. A phone call from the White House, then suddenly an independent committee from FIFA decides to uplift, actually not uplifting, but to suspend this red card. Oh, as though we've not had enough shenanigans in this competition. The Belgian Federation is incensed at the hearing of all this. Anyways, hi Shimi, you say yes, finally you are wearing the kit. Brazil will win by 3-0. Thank you so much, Shimi. I hope that is the case, you know. So Folarin Balogun's red card is suspended for a year, for 1 year. In other words, if he does commit any foul leading to a red card within less than a year, he will serve both sentences for what the direct red card should have uplifted. As soon as I saw the news, I was there thinking to myself, how about those South Africans who received two double red cards or 2 red cards in the game against Mexico? How must they feel about that? You know? So this sounds as unfair as football comes. Oh, Brazil coming so close. Oh, that's a miscued attempt. But Brazil just came so close to opening the lead here. Cairo, guys, I want your views and thoughts on that red card issue involving Folarin Balogun of the USA. You say Vinny must start taking responsibility. He should have taken the penalty, but it's all right because that was not a red card for the first place. Anyways, okay, if you say so, that is from Cairo. All right. Okay. 7 votes cast thus far. 57% of you say Brazil will advance. Looks like the poll is quite taking an interesting, a turn as we speak. It's taking an interesting turn as we speak. But yeah, I wanted us to go through, that announcement. Okay. I'm trying to look for that first report. Now, the sad thing about this is that we came out of last night from a football match that never felt as a football match between Paraguay and France, because it felt like one team came to play kung fu and karate and kickboxing all in one, while another team came to play football. And then, while we're still critiquing the referee from last night, we are treated to the shenanigans involving FIFA suspending Folarin Balogun's red card. If it had been uplifted by an independent committee to judge that it was never a red card in the first place, maybe a part of me would have agreed with them, but still, I could not help it also wash away the conspiracy of a theory that builds in my head that it's too much of a coincidence, that the White House makes a direct phone call to FIFA and President Gianni Infantino answers, and then he wants to tell the rest of the world that an independent FIFA committee decided this one. Something is fishy. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's definitely a duck. If it moves like a snake, hisses like a snake, then it is definitely a snake. So anyways, Folarin Balogun will be eligible to face Belgium after FIFA opted to hand him a suspended 1-game ban under Article 27. The red card stands, but he is free to play. But he's free to play, And my first question was, how come the law wasn't applied for South Africa after their 2 red cards versus Mexico? So anyways, there's been so many questions being put forward in that regard or in that respect. And then we also later learned that the White House made a direct phone call to FIFA to ask Gianni Infantino to review Folarin Balogun's red card And then FIFA approached for a comment and referred to its findings of the independent and referred to the findings of the independent committee. FIFA sources insist White House influence could not affect the decision due to the powers contained in Article 27 and the independent nature of the disciplinary panel. Sounds like a lot of PR, bullshit, in my opinion. Excuse the language there if you find it unbecoming. So, and in the wake of that announcement, the Belgian Football Federation, which is also the Royal Belgium Football Association, says it is astonished by FIFA's decision to declare suspended United States player Folarin Balogun eligible to play in the US-Belgium match on Monday, 6th July at 5 p.m. in Seattle time. FIFA bases its decision on Article 27 of the FIFA Disciplinary Code. This provision states that the FIFA Disciplinary Committee, meanwhile, Norway are probing, Brazil are having to dig in. Martin Odegaard trying to squeeze it in at the near post but could not find the target. So the statement adds that the provision states that the FIFA Disciplinary Committee may decide to suspend the enforcement of a previously imposed disciplinary sanction. However, Article 66.4 of the same FIFA Disciplinary Code clearly provides that a red card sending off automatically results in a suspension for the team's next match, as has been the case for all previous red cards issued during this FIFA World Cup. Now you can see they are being quite spot on here. They're saying, as has been the case for all previous red cards issued during this FIFA World Cup. There's always a first time for everything. But this one, this one, I mean, for all the shenanigans that have happened, particularly off of the pitch, how are we supposed to defend this? Referees being stayed away from the tournament because they come from a certain part of the world, fans, not issued visas, etc., how Iran were treated in this tournament, and FIFA is watching on. Now, they may have turned a blind eye for all those shenanigans. But Erling Haaland testing Alson Ramses Becker, not with power, but with a beast. Try to flick that on over Gabriel Magalhaes successfully and into the hands of, Alson Ramses Becker. So the statement further says, furthermore, and irrespective of the above, the decision is in direct contradiction with the provisions of the FIFA World Cup 2026 competition regulations as set out in Article 10.5. If a player or team official is sent off as a result of direct or indirect red card, second caution, they will automatically be suspended from their team's subsequent match. In addition, further sanctions may be imposed. The automatic nature of such a suspension was also explicitly reaffirmed in FIFA World Cup 2026 Circular number 16, which was distributed to all participating member associations on 12th May 2026. The same rule book is reiterated at every FIFA World Cup 2026 match coordination meeting prior to each match and is included in all FIFA World Cup 2026 workshop presentations. In order to safeguard the legitimate rights of all participating teams and to protect the fundamental principle of fair play in our sport, both at this FIFA World Cup and at future editions of the tournament, the RBFA is investigating all potential options. Now, I don't know if it is too much to ask. I don't know if it's too reactionary. I don't know if it will be out of anger. I don't know if it will be ill advised. But if our Belgium had abscond this game and take whatever sanctions that would come my way, because then it would mean that the more FIFA climb that tree in sanctioning and penalizing Belgium, the more they would expose themselves. I sort of make inference there on an old adage and a local saying that the more a monkey climbs higher up the tree, the more it exposes its nakedness. So if I'm Belgium, I'm absconding. I'm forfeiting this fixture to say, given the unjust decision of FIFA, we will not honor our round of 16 match against USA. They can have a walkover. Otherwise, we deem the treatment or the decision by the FIFA disciplinary committee as unjust and biased, whichever way you may define it. Because I think it's there for the world to see. Norway conceding possession in a very dangerous area on the inside of their Martin Odegaard conceding possession in a dangerous area. The Norwegian goalkeeper once again coming to their rescue as Brazil continue to search for the opener in this game, to little success thus far. So, anyways, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there's ever been a best decision so blatant, so open, so glaring as this one. Now, if the red card had been lifted, I don't think my opinion would entirely have changed, but I think it would have been maybe mixed, maybe somewhere in the balance, because like I said, I for one thought from the first place, and this was in comparison to Messi's high tackle on the Achilles of an Algerian player for which he wasn't given a red card, and yet it should have been a red card. In comparison to what Balogun had, I'd say for some form of semblance of consistency, would say this is uplifted. That an independent key panel decisions, whatever incidents, panel looked at this one and decided it wasn't worthy. But also, you go back to that game for Mexico versus South Africa, there's a very, very poorly awarded red card, which felt like the referee was simply trying to balance out the scales, Meanwhile, Norway are pushing the limits on Brazil. Brad Erling Haaland almost creating a chance for Martin Odegaard, but his attempt is blocked out as they win a corner in this 42nd minute of the game, Wow. We're edging closer and closer to the halfway point of this game. In other words, edging closer to halftime or to the interval, as some of you often refer to it. Okay. It's been that kind of game, close on to a 50-50, you'd want to think, but Norway have been more dominant on the ball, but it's Brazil who have had the more attempts on goal compared to their counterparts tonight. Compared to their opponents tonight. Game of a huge missed opportunity as Bruno Guimaraes missed that penalty. As Bruno Guimaraes missed that penalty. Otherwise, Brazil would have been Brazil would have been 1-0 up as we speak. As the tale of penalties, you score some, you miss some. It happens, even to the best of players. So I've argued before. I've seen Lionel Messi miss a penalty in this World Cup. So if anybody else does miss a penalty, it doesn't come as a surprise or a huge point of contention for me. However, those who miss them by firing them off target, as long as I have a bone to pick with. Meanwhile, it's 6 minutes of added time in the opening stanza. Couple of stars, US stars watching this game. Jay-Z, amongst many in the stands. Meanwhile, we'll get to speak transfers. Manchester United are plotting a move for a Chelsea midfielder. Coming as a surprise? For me, it is a surprise. But knowing how these things happen or go, well, it's not too big a surprise. You know, Norway have a corner kick. Norway have a corner kick. Mohamed Bagil. Gabriel Martinelli tried to sneak it through for Vinicius Jr., but could not find him with the decent pass. Looks like we are destined for a halftime goalless draw. I mean, and the more it goes on like this, the more nervous it will become, the more anxious we will get on either sides of the aisle. Any one of the two teams can win it. No team has ever won the World Cup with a foreign coach. There's always a first time for everything. Marquinhos and his partner Gabriel Magalhaes nearly fumbled it. The opportunity then fell to Martin Odegaard, but Azon Ramsey-Specker coming to the rescue of Brazil here. It was a long ball from the Norwegian goalkeeper. Brazil trying to recycle the ball. Norway defending deep in numbers, putting almost all bodies behind the ball and waiting to catch Brazil on the counter-attack. Oh, Bruno Guimaraes was trying to have a crack at it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Gabriel Martinelli arriving quite quickly for a cross in the area. He was quite on side, but he just could not get his head to it. Oh, he misses that quite narrowly. Quite narrowly. An opportunity gone. Oh, uh-oh. Gabriel Magalhaes did well both physically against Brad Erling Haaland. That ball nearly perfectly set up for Norway earlier on. Uh-oh. Gabriel Magalhaes with his Arsenal captain. No complaining there. He knows his teammate is physically strong. And if you're going to compete with him physically, you must be stronger. Vinicius Jr. appealing for foul. The referee telling him this is a man's game. Pick yourself up and carry on. Says just carry on. That should be a foul. There's a tag on his shirt. I think yesterday we had the worst referee in a football match at the FIFA World Cup. But the game has headed into halftime. The game has headed into halftime with both sides failing to see the back of the net. With both sides failing to see the back of the net. With both sides failing to see the back of the net. So it's nil Brazil. Now, you know, about that statement issued by the US president, Donald John Trump, on Truth Social, he said, thank you to FIFA for doing what was right and reversing a great injustice. President signed off by President Donald John Trump. Now, I don't know. I don't know what makes, this completely makes it just worse. First and foremost, the decision taken already looks bad. The decision taken already looks bad to the extent of FIFA. And then we learn that the White House made a direct call to FIFA. And then that is followed by us learning that by literally the US president clapping for FIFA. Now, if you and I know well enough the overall behavior or digital or social media behavior of the US president in President Donald John Trump, you'll know that he does not just come out to thank people out of the blue for doing things he's not employed them to do. In other words, if like it's not in his nature to just simply come out and say, because not too long ago he was saying FIFA was a criminal organization, So, and today he's applauding the same organization. Now, that's his typical nature, by the way. But Josh Allen says, I like to watch your live streams while I take. Josh, please mind your comments, please. Some of the words that you use in the comment section may be insensitive to some of our audiences. Bear in mind the reservations of other people on the forum. In a way, please show some kindness, some social etiquette, at least for the benefit of people on the forum. I hate it when you come out and type certain things that are not worthy of mentioning, on the forum. Ash says, Ash FCB says, Odegaard and Martinelli playing like true Arsenal players. What's that supposed to mean? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What's that supposed to mean? Kindly indulge me more, Ash, on that one. When you say both playing like typical Arsenal players, what sort of a box are you putting them in? I'd love to understand more of that comment before I make inferences to anything or insinuate anything otherwise, to the extent of the two aforementioned players. But like I said, the game went into halftime goalless. But the biggest news of the day is not even Brazil versus Norway. The biggest news of the day is that Folarin Balogun's red card has been suspended, and therefore he will be eligible to participate in that quarterfinal game between USA and Belgium on Monday. The world of football is incensed. The world of football is mourning. The world of football is up in arms. The world of football is roaring. Now, some are applauding the decision. Others are incensed. I'll give you some of the comments as we go on. This is from James Bench. He's a reporter or, a correspondent with CBS Sport. He said, a scandalous decision, FIFA placing its thumb on the scales of the tournament without even feeling compelled to offer a fig leaf of justification. Borderline red cards happen all the time, and plenty of teams with more at stake than the US national team, the US men's national team, have to just deal with it. In other words, other teams have found themselves in a similar position where the red card issued to any of the players is is borderline. In other words, when he defines it as borderline, he means to say it's a 50-50. If you give it, well, you've given it. If you don't give it, the world is not going to be up in arms. It's that sort of 50-50 decision of maybe yes, maybe not, depending on who is arguing for it or against it. So that really, really makes it bad. That really, really makes it bad. So you can see, and I've seen it with the likes of, I think it's called Mark Ogden. He's also a journalist from the USA. I've seen big journalists criticizing this decision, I mean, isn't it blatant? Isn't it there for the world to see that this is not just for football, McKenna says Trump personally thanked Infantino for it on social media. Still, he does not have a FIFA World Peace Prize, I guess. Now, that's what makes it worse, when the US president has to come out and thank Gian Infantino for this, even if he would have loved to stay out of it, or even if Gian Infantino had not been involved in this. The comments of the US president certainly sort of place him in that realm, The applauding of FIFA in this suddenly places Gianni Infantino in the firing line of this, because he's at the helm of the organization. James Daka says Belgium coach Rudy Garcia slams FIFA over Balgan scandal, says it's like an April Fool's Day joke and that they are not just defending their own position but defending football, its ethics and history. Like I said, guys, he said, and I quote, as quoted by James Daka, I don't know why I don't know. He says, I didn't know that July 5th was equal to April 1st at FIFA. I think it's necessary to refer to our statements. A lot of what I feel is there. We are not defending the national team or the federation. We are defending football, its ethics and history. He adds on to say, it's the first time in World Cup history that such a decision has been taken. Like I said, there's always a first time for everything. That's no problem. But this particular one sets quite the precedent. So what happens tomorrow if FIFA, let's say if Lionel Messi receives a red card in the semifinals and FIFA applies it for a final? If it happens to Kylian Mbappe, if it happens to Cristiano Ronaldo, if it happens to any consequential player of any particular team, if it happens to a hurricane, because you've then set yourself a precedent that this is possible, because then people will be demanding for it. And if you do not give it, you justify their feeling small, that you're playing good and bad, favoritism, for lack of a better word. Okay, Cairo says it's a good decision because how did VAR fail to see this? FIFA must fix their office. Paraguay, so many fouls, but no card. I think this is too much money on football now. They are ruining the sport. Now, first of all, the red card for Folarin Balogun, the referee had not seen it in real time. It went to VAR. He reviewed the incident on VAR and came and awarded a red card. I did not agree with the red card because I felt it was too harsh, And therefore, if FIFA had come out to say the red card is lifted because based on our analysis or the key incident panel of the World Cup thought A, B, C, D, and therefore on these grounds it merited being uplifted, or based on the appeal of the US national team, were in agreement based on this citation, etc. Now, even still then, if they had uplifted the red card, some people would be incensed, but at least that would be a different angle. But in suspending it so that the player can play at the quarterfinals in the same tournament, now, that smells stronger than a dead rat. That smells stronger than a dead rat. Okay. Now, the game between Paraguay and France is one we would want to quickly forget, or one we would never forget. Because one team came and played football, another team came to play the opponents, to play the players, commit silly fouls. You almost felt that there was no intent to play football from Paraguay. And I remember watching them at the blow of the final whistle, up in arms. They were in tears that they had been knocked out. And I was thinking to myself, this must be the most dishonest tears that I've seen. Crocodile tears. Is it okay to feel sad when your team gets knocked out? Absolutely. But the way they applied themselves, now, I'm always one to defend the tactics of game. Now, I would have been okay with them defending deep and looking to catch, France on the counterattack, etc. But when it came to the other shenanigans in the game that felt intentional as well, that lack of sportsmanship, that's what I did not buy into. That's what I didn't like about them. Because it wouldn't be the first time that I was watching a game where one team comes and defends, sits in deep and, waits to catch the other one on the break, look to capitalize on a set piece. I would be totally fine with that. But when it came to the kinds of fouls they were committing, the things on and off the ball, I mean, remember that player that stamps on Kylian Mbappe on his stats while he's on the ground, while Kylian Mbappe is standing, in form of a revengeful act, does not get a yellow card. Incident does not go even to VAR. Make it make sense. You know, I've seen the slightest show of revenge get red cards. You know, Galaza, how many times did he show a lack of sportsmanship? Think about it in those terms. Okay, to move on further, Cairo says we always knew FIFA president was corrupt, but Trump is right. That was not a red card. Now, this is not about President Trump, because President Trump's opinion about an issue pertaining a game of football is as good as mine. He's just any other fan. He's just any other fan. He can moan about a decision as much as he wants. You and I can moan about a decision as much as we want. But just because he moans about it does not mean that it should call for FIFA to intervene, because it's him moaning about it. Because like I said, the Mexicans must have been moaning. You remember the first game of the tournament? You know, you remember that? Mexico versus South Africa? What did we witness? We witnessed so many yellow cards, you know, and red cards in that game. I'm trying to dig for that game because South Africa had 2 players sent off in that game. One was Yaya Sithole, and the other was Tembazwane. Particularly that of Tembazwane was pretty suspicious. Not a red card in my humble opinion. And South Africans did voice their discontent for that decision. Did FIFA uplift it? No. Why? Then came Cesar Montes in the 92nd minute. Another stupid red card. It felt as though the referee was trying to compensate for a poorly awarded red card for Thembazwane. And he gives a red card to Cesar Montes. Mexicans were incensed about that. Did FIFA uplift that? Not to the best of my knowledge. And I stand to be corrected, by the way. So, and yet somehow, just because the USA team, the USA president said that wasn't the right decision, so suddenly FIFA should act when they've not acted in previous incidents? Now, for me, we must have balance. We must feel that all sides' opinions matter. You know? Okay. McKenna says, what has it got to do with Trump? Exactly. It has nothing to do with Trump. It shouldn't be about him. You know? So I cannot defend him in this particular case. And I'm not defending him, McKenna, in case you're getting me wrong. So it has nothing to do with him. An injustice on one of us is an injustice on all of us. And it's okay for him to have the opinion of saying that was an unjust decision on our player or in the game, in the officiation of the game. You know, that's a valid, you know, debate. That's a valid discussion, you know, to have. Meanwhile, we are back for the second half, you know. So that's okay for him to have that opinion. As you and I can have the opinion to say, that should have been a red card, you know. That shouldn't have been a red card. That should have been a penalty. That shouldn't be a penalty. Now, go back to the game between Cape Verde and Argentina. A blatant handball before the referee, not given. And Argentina retained possession. Messi commits a foul. It's not a booking. It's not a free kick. Sorry, Messi commits a foul. It's not a yellow card, but it's a free kick. And because it was a tackle from behind, should have been a yellow card for him, but not given. Every time Lionel Messi was touched, it was a foul. I did not agree with, I'm not saying some of them shouldn't have been fouls. That's not what I'm saying. But it felt like he was being protected, while the reverse could not be said for Cape Verde. So how are we supposed to disabuse ourselves of conspiracies when there's continuously glaring evidence to suggest as such? You know, it feels like we are spectators watching a movie that was well scripted. Have you ever gotten emotional about watching a TV show or a movie, and then you remember to yourself, oh, this is how the script writer wanted it to be. It is a written script for somebody to act in this manner. You know, sometimes fictional sad stories make us sad. It's only human to imagine it having happened in real life. So, but this is football. It's supposed to be raw. But if it starts feeling like a script, remember, the star of the movie never dies. Rarely do they die. Anyways, okay. I'm trying to go through your comments without skipping any. I'm struggling to see where I stopped. Yeah, teams must be able to appeal. But you see, the US, they're not citing an appeal from the US national team. What we are getting are phone calls from the White House. And I'm sure the US National Football Federation or associations, whatever it's called, does not sit at White House. You know, it shouldn't be President Donald J. Trump appealing. It should be the US Football Federation appealing the decision. You know, that's why FIFA are not even citing that there was an appeal here. You say, what do you think of Paraguay? Gusty or chesting swines? Or cheating swines? Jesus Christ. Too big of a word. But I understand where you're coming from. Anyways, let me see. Okay. Okay. Shimi said, how can football unite people if FIFA is doing things in the dark? They are running everything. I understand. Your reservation is as good as mine. Yeah, teams must be able to appeal. That's true. Teams can appeal. But in this particular case, it's not on appeal of the US team. You know, as we are getting the reports, it's because of a phone call from the White House. In other words, we may as well have maybe the president of Russia calling for Russia to be added to the World Cup. You know, you're talking about McKinnon. You're saying you're talking about a guy who this week was ordered to pay 86 million in a sex case. What has a red card or yellow card got to do with him? Oh, I read those reports about the lady that he apparently sexually abused and etc. etc. I saw some news about that. So completely understand where you're coming from. Lolo, let's not be personal and political. No, it's not personal and it's not political. But it's hard to put the politics out of it if politicians are the ones seemingly writing the script here. You know, it's hard not to look at it in that sense or in that manner. It shouldn't be political at any front whatsoever, because in any case, FIFA does not want politics to interfere in the running of football. But when a phone call to FIFA comes from the White House to complain about what they believe to be an unjust treatment, should all presidents be picking their phone calls every time they feel that? Should President Emmanuel Macron pick up a phone to say, hey, FIFA, what the hell was that yesterday we watched? Why was Kylian Mbappe being treated in that manner? Why were our players being treated as such and there was no yellow card from the referee? You know, should it come to that? It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Okay. Can I say? I mean, how can you defend the president of the USA in the host country's World Cup just suspending a red card? I'm not defending him. What do you think of Paraguay? Okay. Now for Paraguay, I mean, that was bad for the game. Not the nature of how the game was played, but how the referee handled the game. That did not give a good image for the game because at the end of the day, players can choose to behave whichever way they can behave. Players can choose to exchange blows if they find their tempers rising. But if the referee is not compelled enough to act, is not convinced enough to act in respect to the law, that's where the problem comes because he is the presiding officer of the game. He has a lot of power and authority with his whistle. But if we do not see him exercising that, then yeah, we feel incensed about where the kind of direction the game could be taking. So those are my thoughts about that game. No proof White House was involved. Why are we talking like women? No proof. I'm not saying I have proof. That's why I say it. According to multiple reports, FIFA received a phone call from the White House. That's what the report suggests. And I don't know if you've noticed, go read out the US president's comments. After the decision was made, after the red card, and after the red card has been suspended. So for some things, we just simply need to read between the lines. You and I do not have to agree. It is okay for you to be of the opinion that it is the right decision by FIFA. It's okay for you to be of that school of thought or that disposition. That's very fine. You know, that's very fine. Vinicius Jr. claiming for a corner kick. Norwegian defender saying to the contrary. Let's see, is it a corner kick? Yeah, it's a corner kick. Absolutely. Okay. How did Paraguay get 0 yellow cards? Hilarious. Your guess is as good as mine. Imagine Putin calls. Exactly. Because if it comes down to that, if a certain team is treated unjustly, their president has to call or their executive side has to call, then the game gradually becomes political. That's Cunha, beautiful corner kick, but the flick did not take the right direction. You say it was like watching Wimbledon in the 90s. Wimbledon, unfortunately, I'm not familiar. I never watched Wimbledon in the 90s, so I cannot relate. Vinnie Jones and that lot, it felt like a boxing match where you are not allowed to use your hands. That's what it felt like. You know, and there was only one team allowed to box the other in a way, you know. And I remember making the argument, I think after, was it Manu Kone who got the yellow card for the French? I remember saying that France needed to keep their heads down. They needed to keep their cool. Otherwise, they would lose a player. And luckily for them, they managed to keep their heads cool in the overall context of the game. But Manu Kone and Bradley Bacola got yellow cards. And yet, no player from Paraguay got a yellow card. I mean, given what we also... Hi, Reluctant Gamer. How are you doing, my brother? Good to have you back on the broadcast. Shimi says, I think Paraguay understand football in a different way than we do because trying to hurt players is not football. Exactly. It almost felt personal. Chris Rock is busy eating and the focus is on him. Who is that next to him? The face does look familiar. You say England, Mexico. What's your prediction? A tough one. You may not like the sound of this one, but my objective side thinks Mexico could go through. I think it's a game that could drag on into extra time and possibly penalties. 1-1 in normal time, and then drag on. Mexico are yet to concede a goal in this competition. So I'm not feeling too positive about England. I'm not feeling too positive about England for this game because I've seen them struggle to create chances against teams that defend deep and defend well. Now, Mexico may not necessarily defend too deep. They may use a mid-block, and England tend to struggle penetrating such blocks. So, okay. McKenna responded with an 8-0 prediction. I don't know in whose favor. Come on, England. Oh, you're saying England will win 8-0. Wow. What the hell, brother? I just realized your shirt has 4 stars. You remember? But we talked about this right from the first day. Enric has been brought on for Matas Cunha. That's the first substitution of the game. Yes, it has 4 stars. And I also realized after getting home with the kids. But anyways, those are the consequences of putting on replicas of a replica. As it gets recycled, it loses some of its elements. It's a case of telling a story. If you tell me a story and I tell it to somebody and that somebody takes it to another person, I mean, every time, every person who recarries the same story is bound to either miss a couple of details or wow, Enric just missed a golden opportunity to give Brazil the lead. Vinicius Jr., wow, putting him through with his first action of the game, that was a trivial bit of a pass. But I think he had that touch, and that second touch was a bit heavy. You can see the ball is almost running out from him, and as he tries to flick it sideways of the goalkeeper, it's going wide. It's going wide. Anyways, reluctant gamer, you say, I think Mexico gonna beat England team. McKenna telling you to keep the faith. Vidalo, yeah, pubs open till 5 a.m. in England. It will be mayhem. Mayhem. Now, let me ask, have some people been given a day off tomorrow? Because it's nonetheless still a Monday, because I'm also here laboring to think of how I'm going to watch that game and fulfill my responsibilities for tomorrow. But where there's, you know that saying, where there's a will, there's a way. So I'll figure it out, you know. So, and let me ask, England fans, what everybody who comes to watch the game at a pub, does it mean they all take beer? Because when you guys are celebrating a goal, you're pouring beer on each other. You know, you guys celebrating by literally spilling the beer all over the place to whomever, on whomever. I understand the emotions, the heat of the moment, but I've seen it one too often to think that it almost feels like the equivalent of Bayern Munich celebrating winning the Bundesliga at the end of almost every season, where they come with those huge plastic glasses that are colorless, see-through glasses, and they're pouring beer on everybody. So you guys celebrate and you spill the drinks all over. You say Mexico have lost 3 games in 87 at the Azetka Gulp. Well, that makes it even harder. Meanwhile, out of 10 votes cast, 60% of you think Norway are going to go through at the expense of Brazil. I don't know if it's the England fans hoping for a lesser opponent, if they think they'll make it to the quarterfinals, or otherwise. Vinicius Junior, some brilliant play there. That's offside. And the flag goes up. That was offside. Records are there to be broken, the same way records are there to be made. You're right about that. There's always a first time for everything. Earlier on, I was telling you guys that there's no team that has ever won the World Cup with a foreign manager or with a foreign coach. And in the same breath, I said there's always a first time for everything. So you never know. Maybe this time will be the magic time. I mean, the Norwegian goalkeeper has been quite immense. He's been quite immense. Vassen, meanwhile, Yannick Bolassi came out to comment about the decision on Folarin Balogun, and he said, all I'll say is if this was AFCON and they let a man play after he got a red card, the nonsense being said would be crazy, you know? And then there is a meme, an AI meme, depicting Folarin Balogun with the referee showing him the red card, and in reverse, Balogun is showing him a small portrait of the US president. Miguel Delaney said, from speaking to a few legal people, etc., Balkan, there is a consensus that 10.5 is clear. Red cards are issued by the referee. They are not disciplinary measures, so 12.7 should not apply. The object of the FIFA disciplinary code, it is to do with infringements of rules, not on-field offenses. 9.1 says decisions are final and may not be reviewed by FIFA judicial bodies. That's according to Miguel Delaney. Now, the same Miguel Delaney, who writes for The Independent, said this or wrote this. Said this about the decision involving Cristiano Ronaldo. He said, FIFA's bow to Cristiano Ronaldo marks a new low in the sustained reign of Gianni Infantino. You know, the bizarre but unsurprising decision to lift the suspension that should have ruled Ronaldo out of Portugal's opening World Cup games damages the sporting integrity FIFA is meant to uphold above all else, you know. Oh, whoa. Norway coming so close to opening the deadlock, to breaking the deadlock, sorry. That was a decent pass but it goes across the face of goal with Bart Erling Haaland attempting to have a touch at it, on it at the back end of the post, but it suddenly misses. He suddenly catches it wide. Oh, he could not guide it in. So yeah, that's Brazil making changes. Gabriel Martinelli withdrawn for is it Douglas Santos, and then Neymar on. We'll review those changes more in a bit. And the referee calls for a hydration break. It looks intentional that Brazil do not want to take this to beyond the 90 minutes based on their actions thus far. Okay. The ZK Stadium is sinking. Apparently, it's built in a bolo. I've heard of those stories of how the entire Mexico City could be sinking in. NASA has been involved with measuring how far it sinks. Norway, okay, a lot has been made of the altitude issue at the Azteca of the England tonight, but the gravitational difference at height means they have edged faster than us, a huge advantage. Neymar is on. Yes, that's true. Neymar is on. Let's see if he can be the difference. I mean, we've been, for some Brazil fans, they've been calling for this. They've wanted him to come on and be the difference, and be the difference. Could this be the day that he makes the difference? We have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. The good thing is that he's been brought on quite early enough. But in some of the changes that have been made thus far, include Hendrick coming on for Matas Cunha, while Danilo Olviero has come on for Ryan, and then Neymar has come on for Gabriel Magalhaes. Gabriel Martinelli. Sorry, it's Gabriel Martinelli. So what that means is that in withdrawing Ryan for Danilo Olviero, he's going to come into midfield, and then Neymar adds on up top. So you have Vinicius Junior, you have Hendrick, you have Neymar up front there or out there. So quite interesting. Then Sheldrop came on for Antonio Nusa. That was at halftime, or at the resumption of the second half. Then Oscar Bob came on for Alexander Soloth, while Asnes came on for Reason there. So those are the changes that have been made by both sides. 3 changes made by both parties thus far, but the game is still goalless as we head into the 70th minute of this beautiful game. Chances have been created, but none have been buried away. When you look at the statistics of the game thus far, you'll see that Brazil's XG is at 1.9 compared to 0.54 over Norway. 3 shots on target for Brazil and only 2 for Norway. 5 off target for Brazil and 3 off target for Norway. Norway still dominated possession to the tune of 68% compared to 32% of Brazil. But you can see going forward, Brazil have been a little bit more effective in a way. This guy, Danilo Olviero, is one of those players that had a cameo, I think, in the first game for a few minutes, but I liked it. Let's see if he can deliver. Neymar's first act was the long pass, but it was poor. The first time he came on, he looked unfit, he looked overweight, he looked, I don't know, he looked all sorts not good. Brazil have been shit. That's for McKenna. Uh-oh. Martin Odegaard. That's a nice pass to Haaland. Martin Odegaard could not get the ball from under his feet. Amelia says, who will win? Your guess is as good as mine, but I'm rooting for Team Brazil. But you can take part. You can take part of our poll question and tell us who will win. But more importantly, also give us a comment. In your humble opinion, where do you see it tilting towards? I'm rooting for Brazil. So my opinion is as biased as any other fan would be for a particular team. So I think Brazil will win. Raymond Kangumba says, officially being announced as Newcastle player today. And Manzambi deal next pay extra money. Yes. Raymond Kangumba is talking about Bizomana Traore, who's joined Newcastle for about a little over 50 million euros from Hoffenheim. Amelia says, looks like a fair battle. Anyone can win. That's true. I think anyone can win it, but whoever scores first may have the edge over the other. Whoever scores first in this game could have the edge over the other or the advantage. Raymond says, I am voting for Brazil for a win. Brazil today. Yes. Okay. McKenna says, yes, we have signed Toure, 43 million pounds. Okay, yeah, that's a done deal. But more to be done from Newcastle, or at least we should expect more. Vinicius Jr., oh, come on. That's quite the physical battle between Gabriel Magalhaes and Bert Erling Haaland. Norway, here they come. Oh! Aston Ramses Baker forced into a brilliant save here. Shoulder up, squeezing it in between the legs of the Brazilian defender. But Ramses Baker was there at the near post to keep that one out. Yes, he has videos on Newcastle websites. Okay. Yeah, that deal is confirmed. As good as done. Bruno Guimaraes is going to score a hat-trick today. You wish. And then you say Brazilian penalties. So, in other words, that would mean it would be ending 3-3 in regular time. I do not see that happening, given how the opening 75 minutes have transpired, or 70 minutes, so to speak. Norway being quite dominant on the ball, but still yet to find a breakthrough. really tested that Brazil defense. And if anybody knows the danger that Brad Erling Haaland poses, must be the Arsenal centre back in Gabriel Magalhaes. Martin Odegaard trying to have an impact on the game from nearly almost all parts of the central field. For those of you that are just joining us, welcome to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is my name. Kindly taking part in our poll question for tonight. What do you think will win? Who will win tonight? Brazil versus Norway. Just go there and click on that vote button to say Norway or Brazil. But then you can also leave us a comment down in the comment section. 77 minutes played and it is still goalless. Brazil have completed only 230 passes compared to 503 passes for Norway. So that speaks to quite the overall dominancy of possession on the game. Carlo Ancelotti looking to make his fourth substitution of this game. You say France versus Argentina again. Is that for the final? Is that what you anticipate, Amelia? Because obviously they cannot meet anywhere other than in the final. White Europeans winning again. That's from real-time intel. Okay. Amelia, are you predicting that we are bound to see that sort of repeat of a final? Bruno Guimaraes being withdrawn. He missed a penalty. If this goes to penalties, he won't have an opportunity to take another. So he's done for the night. Bruno Guimaraes, or for Ederson Silva, the player that Manchester United are looking to sign from Atlanta in a deal worth about 45 million euros. Amelia says Mbappe has to do his pending work this time. You know, you can meet the same opponent twice and still lose to them. And it's a goal. Brad Erling Haaland scores for Norway. 1-0 to the Norwegians. Beautiful header, decent cross, rises, towers above everybody else, and he puts that in the bottom corner. Nowhere in the reach for Arsene Ramsey-Baker. And quite the game we have on our hands. No sooner had Carlo Ancelotti made that substitution than they concede on the other side. With 10 minutes left to play. I told before that Norway has a chance. Yeah, you do have a chance. You cannot stop the man. That's his sixth goal of the campaign. But Erling Haaland, Gabriel Magalhaes is right there marking him, but he towers above him. Just right there in the bottom corner. And Arsene Ramsey-Baker could not get there in time enough to make the save. Check my previous message. What previous message? I read the France versus Argentina comment. I read the Mbappe has to do his pending work. I read that one. I told before that Norway has a chance. I read that. So I don't know what previous message you're referring to. Kindly retype it if you don't mind. If you think I missed it. Haaland is just getting weird now. Norway has a chance. You cannot stop Haaland. That's from Raymond. I mean, bloody hell. That's from McKenna. As football, if you do not take your chances, whoever does take their chances is the one that will punish you. And looks like the Norwegians, the Vikings, have punished Brazil first. A bucket of tears awaits in the stands. And this could be the end of the road for Team Brazil. Neymar with the corner kick. It's being told to readjust the ball to hug the exact arc at the corner. Floats that in. Amelia says, how we got the winner? Well, through Brad Erling Haaland's brilliant header, 61 goals in 57 caps for Haaland. As brilliant. That's from McKenna. Shimi says, you know that Brazil will still win this game, so I'm not worried. Well, I don't know if you're telling that to yourself to stay strong mentally, psychologically. Oh, Neymar overplayed his hand there, but as soon as he beat his first man, he had the opportunity to change things, but he didn't. Vinicius Jr. has conceded possession. It's 3 against 3. Oscar Bob delaying that one, but Norway had an opportunity to make it 2-0, and if they do make it 2-0, then this will be as good as done. I think Norway will try to manage this one in terms of game management. Retain the ball as much as you can, recycle it. Do not be too desperate to go up front and try and score. Will be quite the strategy. Brazil had better show some level of urgency here. Portugal versus Spain. Pick your side. Spain. Not because I support them. I'm simply saying I think Spain will win. Oh, that nearly went in. Came off the upright. I don't know if the goalkeeper had a decent touch to that one. It felt a bit awkward. It felt a bit awkward. Neymar with the cross. Well defended. Down to Vinicius Jr. Carlos Casemiro flashing his attempt across the face of goal and nobody there to apply the finishing touch. I don't know. I felt like a cross, but Neymar could not get there just in time. Brad Erling Haaland could not help it show his dissatisfaction that defending. Goalkeeper gets his fingertips to it. That one was falling in. Brilliant save. I still trust Ronaldo. Okay, that's from Amelia. Nice save. True, Brazil are playing jokes with me. You're not the only one. And expect Norway to be eating up some more time. I hate extra time. I've said that. And so do I do hate penalties. All right. Referee says play on. Haaland or Mbappe? I think I'll go with Mbappe. He has a poor first touch, but that pace, that precision. Odegaard. And he fires up the crowd. Norway are close to writing history. They are close to knocking out the 5-time champions. Do you still think Brazil can pull something here? Well, anything can still happen. Remember the 2014 UEFA Champions League final? Real Madrid versus Atletico? Atletico having that 1-0 lead from early on in the first half, was it? And then Sergio Ramos coming up with the equalizer very late on. That was quite something. Brazil look stumped. They're not showing so much signs of positivity, and I felt they've been a bit slow ever since they conceded. They've not tried to hurry things up. They've not tried to hurry things up. Oh, look at that ball played in no man's land. Really. That's not the level of complacency you want to see. Vinicius Jr. If I says goalkeeper, they don't know what to do. Mourinho said that Mbappe is going to wear French jersey under Madrid's jersey so that he could play better. The way Norway are getting up front quite effectively, and it's a goal. Goal number 2. Haaland scores his 7th goal of the tournament. It's 2-0. It's game over for Brazil. They are sent packing. He nearly took off his shirt there. Nearly took off his shirt, but kept his cool and decided to keep it on. Yeah, it's game over. Carlo Ancelotti can't believe it. The Norwegians can't believe it. Arsene Ramsey doesn't know where to look. Gabriel Magalhaes doesn't know what to say. Haaland ate and left nothing. Oh my Lord. That. A lot of time on the ball. No one is closing him down. And he drives it in the bottom corner. Look at all that space. Through the legs of Danilo Santos. Oh. Into the bottom corner. And Arsene Ramsey cannot believe that his defense has let him down. What a freak. What a fucking goal that is. Absolutely brilliant. Casemiro takes his fingers through his hair, his head. Seven minutes of added time. Shimi says Haaland is the best, but why? But why Brazil? Why? Well, your guess is as good as mine, but to be honest, Norway have been the dominant side throughout the course of this game. They've controlled the tempo of the game. They've controlled the key aspects of the game. And eventually they got clinical with their chances, which Brazil can't save for themselves. You know the funny thing about football is that players begin to show a sense of urgency when it's too late. And then you ask yourself, where has this urgency all been throughout the 90 minutes. How come we never saw it? That's always a funny thing for me. And, you ask yourself, where was all the urgency for the other minutes? How come you did not show us any urgency whatsoever? They start working when it's already too late. That's what it always feels like. Like it's like waking up too late, you know? It's one of those games where every, no matter what you try to do, it's just not working. And they're not playing with any ounce of belief in them that they're even capable of pulling one back. You know, usually from the moment they conceded, I thought Brazil was going to have a barrage of attacks. Well, that's not been the case. Ah, Haaland is the only bull who loves red color. Is the only Red Bull. He could not believe it. In that TV show or series called Vikings, there was that gigantic brother of Ragnar Rothbrock. Sorry, of Ragnar, and I forget what his. I think he was called Loro, something like that. And he was big, he was tall, typical Brad Erling Haaland demeanor, typical Brad Erling Haaland demeanor. So, oh, it's Norway pushing for the third. Norway are toying with Brazil now. They're simply toying with them. That's quite unsporting from Neymar. Haaland is basically Roy of the ropes. Gives you wings. Oh, Red Bull gives you wings. I believe I can fly. But Erling Haaland has 7 goals. But we're done and dusted. We're done and dusted. The last dance. Yeah, it's definitely the last dance for Neymar Santos Jr. Norway are the ones playing like Brazil. Shameful from Brazil. Yep. Um, ah, the problem is Brazil now think they can solve this with a fight. With the final seconds of the game. Neymar gets books. Mbappe, Haaland, and Messi have 7 goals, and number 7 doesn't have a standing. Number 7 only has 2 goals. The referee will be calling this game to an end any moment from now. You know, one of the things that I always ponder to myself is what goes through a head coach, a manager or a head coach's head as they lose. So, is that a handball or an elbow? Is that an elbow? Oh, the referee is talking about an elbow. Oh, it's an elbow, not a handball. It's going to be a penalty for Brazil. Haaland is like a real life cheat code. He should only be allowed to play one half. Brazil lost because you are supporting them. I've supported Brazil since 2002, if not slightly before that. So I don't think that's why. But they have a penalty in the 9th minute of stoppage time, and Neymar Santos Jr. has stepped up. This will be the final thing that he does for the Brazil national team, I'd want to believe or guess. And then the Brazilians hold their faces, too afraid to see, too afraid to imagine what their star can do here. I mean, even if he misses, Brazil are out anyway. He literally toyed with him. He literally toyed with him there. He scores, and it's one. Brazil pull one back for. Brazil pull one back. He literally toyed with him. He literally toyed with him. Not enough time for Brazil left for any late drama, but suddenly it's been that sort of game. I don't know what's happening. Marquinhos and Odegaard. What's happening? Neymar is saying you're eating up the time. Norwegian fans are not sure what's going on. Everybody is suddenly waiting for the final whistle. Straight to the Norwegian goalkeeper. And the referee will suddenly be calling this game to an end anytime from now. And the referee calls it to an end. Norway 2, 1 Brazil, and Norway are through to the quarterfinals. And we'll be waiting for whoever comes through between England and Mexico. They make history, knocking out the 5-time champions, Brazil. That was incredible from Team Norway. That is the kind of performance that you want at the round of 16 when you come up against one of the greatest footballing nations ever. Congratulations, Amelia. Congratulations, Norway. Congratulations, Martin Odegaard, Brad Erling Haaland, Patrick Badge, Sander Badge, and all the other Norwegian players out there. Oscar Bob. It was always going to be a tough ask for Brazil. Coming up against Norway, it was always going to be this sort of tournament, knowing the sort of lack of richness in quality and the overall display of Brazil. What is wrong? Goodbye, Brazil. Goodbye, indeed. Goodbye, Neymar. And that was the last dance. Now, you know what's funny about football? I'm sure, I'm sure a lot of fans out there, and I don't mean to say the majority, will be thinking about Bruno Guimaraes' penalty miss. Here's often what I say. He missed that penalty in the 14th minute. So there's nothing for me to suggest that from there on, Brazil did anything that would have suggested that they could not make it through. They're out of it because they're not good enough at the end of the day. Sometimes good is just not good enough. For those of you that do not know, we do have a Barcelona fan. Sorry about the internet glitch. We do have a Barcelona fan on the channel. He goes by the name Mes Pedri. A lot of tears in those stands from youngsters, middle-aged, youth, elderly, etc., etc., as Brazil bow out of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Now, Pedri, one day following Barcelona's exit from the UEFA Champions League at the hands of Atletico de Madrid, I did say that they were out of the UEFA Champions League because they were good, but not good enough over 2 legs against Atletico de Madrid. And he was so pissed. He was so pissed. Jesus Christ. He was so enraged. Now, that's the nature of sport. Good is not good enough. Because when you're good enough, you go through. When you're good enough, when certain margins do not go your way, you do not go through. That's the nature of the sport. That's the nature of the sport. Especially when a winner must be determined over 90 minutes or over 180 minutes. There's no way around about it. You know? There's no way around about it. You cannot hide behind a draw when it's at a knockout stage. You know? You cannot say we share the spoils. You cannot say this or that. You know? So that's the nature of the sport. Brazil were good, but not good enough. Not good enough. And that's the difference. At this level, you ought to be more than just good. You ought to be more than just good. Yes, sometimes you will need a little bit of luck. You may need the little bit of luck, but you aren't always going to be lucky. So that's the case of it. Now all repeats after me. Me. And the buckets of Vinaldo. Still can't believe it. That's from Amelia. Meanwhile, guys, for those of you that are not familiar, but Amelia joins us from Norway, from Oslo, Norway, at least by her own, assertion. Let's go England. That's from Kena. Now, Amelia, one question for you. Between Mexico and England, who would you rather face at the quarterfinals of the competition? Let's go England. Vinaldo at least tried to play like Capvaldi. The difference was literally Haaland not taking Joao Pedro was the biggest mistake. Period. That's from Rio Dandy. That's his view that Brazil is undoing all lay with not taking Joao Pedro at the competition. And now you see, oftentimes plan B is the best plan if plan A does not work. You know, what did you say before, Amelia? I was asking you between Mexico and England, who would you rather face at the quarterfinals? Because now that you've advanced to the quarterfinals, you can either meet England or Mexico at the next round of the competition. So, out of those two opponents, who would you rather meet? Is a question I'm putting forward to you. Now, before that, saying that you're a Norway fan and that you're from Norway, is that what you're referring to? I stand to be corrected in case I misrepresented your character or the facts there about. I'm responding to Real Daddy's comment to saying not taking Joao Pedro was the biggest mistake. All I can say about that is that plan B always seems to be the best plan when plan A does not work, and the reverse is true. So that's just the nature of football. And like I oftentimes say, I'm not tall enough to see what will happen tomorrow, and I don't think any of us is. But we can, who said that? I'm from the US. Okay. Europeans. Oh, am I confusing you for somebody else? Amelia, I'm not a Norway fan either. It felt like you were a Norway fan tonight. You were rooting for them. You're rooting for them. Anyways, apologies for my misrepresentation of your character and the facts therein. Amelia says she's from the USA and not a Norwegian fan, but apologies on that. So no pun intended. Okay. I wanted England to face Brazil personally, as I knew Brazil wouldn't end till the end. Okay. Well, like I said, none of us is tall enough to see what will happen tomorrow because there's no guarantees that England come through at the expense of Mexico tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. Oh, which is actually already today because for me it's 11 minutes past 1 a.m. It's already the 6th of July 2026. Okay. Imagine how high Danban will be at the Azteca Stadium, and I'm not a Norway fan either. Sorry about that. Why does Ancelotti even make Endrick play? He was hidden for the entire match except for the start. Okay, I don't. Is that the fault of the manager though? If the player is not visible in a match, like I said, it's easier to argue for plan B if A doesn't work and vice versa. I'm sure he was well intentioned in trying to bring him on, and he had hoped maybe it would give his side a different variation, the kind of variation that we never go to see. But obviously, it's quite the bad results. I do not know whether he will step down, as has been the case for a good number of managers now. Looks like every manager or head coach of a big country that bows out of the tournament has had the manager step down, right from Ronald Koeman to Julian Nagelsmann at Netherlands and German respectively. So I don't know what comes next. But suddenly I knew that the big boys were bound to start collapsing. Okay. I wasn't supporting anyone today. I was just watching soccer. All right, Amelia. Like I said, apologies. Please accept my sincere apologies for any misrepresentations of facts to your extent. Miss Becked Beans says, Gabriel, I hope you are staying humble. The big man Viking. That's from Miss Becked Beans. Brazil were a bit that what like Zahran says, can't believe Brazil are out. Well, they are. Sir, I'm pretty confident England might go though. We got Hurricane. That's from Rio Dandy. Let's hope for the absolute best for Team England, for those of you that are rooting for it. Now, guys, as you watch England tonight against Mexico, please take a keen eye on these couple of players. There's a player called Julian Quinenos of Mexico. There's a player called there's a youngster. If I remember the name, I'll give it. And then there's a player called Lira in that midfield for Mexico. If I do remember some of those names, I'll be giving them to you as we go on. But there's a player called Lira in there that you ought to keep your eyes on at at when Mexico take on England tonight. So keep your eyes peeled for those players. Lira in midfield, and then Gilberto Mora, yes, the youngster, Gilberto Mora, the youngster. Keep your eyes on him thus far. So and you see he's quite a good player. There is a good player in Gilberto Mora, and I've seen he's been linked with a potential move to some of the big clubs that apparently they're scouting him as they would any other great talent out there. So we'll wait and see how things go down to that extent or respect. But Mexico have quite had the journey. They are yet to concede a goal in this competition. So defensively, they look quite pretty strong and solid. So you might want to take keen interest in them. Eric, yes, the player is called Eric Lira. In that, he puts on shirt number 6 in that midfield. And Gilberto Mora, and then Julian Quinones. I think he plays for Al Ittihad in the Saudi Pro League. So, okay. All right, let me run through some of your other comments there. Okay, I think I read that one. Oh, okay. Zahran says Hurricane, that's the spirit. Okay, they both start with Rio. Okay. Haaland, that's from Ash FCB. Meanwhile, Ash is a Barcelona fan. Okay, hey Ash, that's from Reluctant Gamer. Okay, that's an exchange between two brothers. I already knew Norway was winning, still felt bad seeing Neymar cry. That's the beauty of the game. As one team jubilates or celebrates, the other does cry. That's why I often say football is the game or the sport or where the agony of defeat meets the joy of a victory. So, Haaland level goes with Messi and Mbappe, and he plays for a weaker side. Props to Haaland, doesn't get enough credit. You're right about that, maybe. You remember when we were discussing the dark horses, we mentioned Norway because they were really, really good during the qualifiers, including the manner in which they beat Italy, I think in one of those games by 3-0. That goal was nice. It was indeed. I do not know. Mexico might beat England. Looks like there's a whole lot of a feeling about that being so for the game going in that respect, that Mexico could knock out England. For me, I'm really, really eager to see how England create chances against the kind of team that Mexico are, and the manner in which they stay a bit compact, especially in the middle, with that mid sort of block. Even when they go into a low block to defend, they oftentimes look quite solid and close down the spaces. And if anything, we saw England struggle against Ghana. We saw them struggle against DRC Congo to create really, really that many chances or brilliant chances, even though Mbasi, the DRC Congo goalkeeper, was quite excellent. Okay. I thought Norway could win. People wrote them off. I don't think people wrote them off. It's the case of, having to choose one or the other. I'm calling a 2-1 for Mexico. That's from Ash. Reluctant, McKenna responding to Reluctant Gamer saying, if he were AI, how would we know? I think Mexico will beat England. Reluctant Gamer. You seem to be a man of low spirit today, or you seem to be having low confidence in in England tonight. Let me see. Oh, Jesus Christ. Some of your comments are running away from me, but I'll try my best to read all of them. Okay. True, Leon. I have predicted all matches so far correctly. I joked Paraguay beating Germany, and they did. No, honestly, I'm just freakishly good, almost like a robot. Okay, Lolo. I hope we win, then play against Argentina. I would love to see Messi versus England, and I don't think that has happened. Wait, reluctant gamer, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought whoever goes through between England and Mexico was bound to meet whoever comes through between Brazil and Norway, which is Norway in this particular case. Okay, but I stand to be corrected on that part. Okay, who are Norway facing next? I thought it should be either of Mexico or England. However, Reluctant Gamer seems to suggest otherwise. Yeah, I would love to see Argentina versus England. The hand of God, you want revenge? Lose Brazil was at the Azteca Stadium. Norway is playing either England or Mexico. That's to the best of my recollection, but I stand to be corrected. Me, Resa Andrea Sprazer, me Indonesia. You're from Indonesia. Good to have you on the broadcast. They will face the winner of England versus Mexico. That's from Ash. Fake Brazil, bye-bye Brazil. Most Brazil won World Cup in 1958, 62, 70, 94, and 2002. Most of the World Cup trophies came in the 1960s era. Okay. Oh, okay. Indonesia versus Argentina. Now, reluctant bro, I'm going to sleep. I'll wake up before Mexico game. When Maradona handled in the goal, then scored, and that was the last time England. Okay, I am going to ban my Brazil kits. Shimi, why? Come on. You can deal with the loss much better than that. Yes, Ash, on before 2 hours was the match. Rio, to me, that was a brown envelope. For me, I'm going to take a quick nap. Okay. Argentina versus Cape Verde. I stayed up the entire night to watch the game at 3:30 a.m. I slept at 6:30 a.m. with my heart almost popping out my mouth. Hindi gaming officials said Ronaldo and Messi era is gone and Mbappe and Haaland era has started. Well, it started long before this edition of the World Cup, only that this is Haaland's first World Cup. It was versus Argentina. Maradona was the key. Sir, why does your Brazil kit have 4 stars? I think I've explained that one previously. It's a replica kit. I don't know replica of how many multiple times, but these shenanigans tend to come with these cheap kits. It's not an original kit. It's not a direct replica of the player's version. So these mistakes tend to come with that. Okay, but at the Azteca, it's winning Maradona squad the best hit there, champ. That's algorithm. Okay, guys, you've been such a wonderful audience tonight. It's 1:23 a.m. for me here in Uganda. So allow me to call this one a wrap, and we will link up perhaps next time. But go enjoy yourselves as you watch that game between Mexico and England. For me, it will be kicking off at 3 a.m. That's in almost an hour and a half from now. So I'll get to some of my other work and see how much of it I can push away before calling it a wrap. But it's been quite a week. It's been quite a roller coaster. For those of you that are ardent followers on this channel, you know what we've been doing almost on a daily basis. Shimi says bye-bye. No Mexico, England. Well, I cannot promise on that. I'm sort of experiencing a little bit of a mental fatigue. My preference would be to do the game and simply turn on your notifications in case I do have the capacity to really turn on my device. Best rest assured, come live. but I simply just do not trust my head to carry on to serve you sufficiently. That's why I may have certain reservations to that effect or extent. Anyways, you'll indulge me should I fall short on those expectations. But it does sort of, come with the territory. Okay. Mexico have lost 3 games in 68 and something stupid like that. Well, any record can be brought to an end. I remember Jose Mourinho having a record of not losing like was it 75 home fixtures, etc. etc. So I mean, eventually it came to an end. It's going to be tough, as should be. As should be. It's not supposed to be easy, guys. It's not supposed to be easy, you know. But thank you so much, Algorithm McKenna. You've been such a wonderful company. Shimi, thank you so much. Rio Dandy, Reluctant Kema, Hindi, Cairo, Ash. Thank you so much. Amelia, Zahran, Viola, thank you so much. All of you that were part of us where we started from. Austin, Josh Allen, Winnie, podcasts, Ash, Cairo. Thank you so much, guys, for your company. It's been a pleasure. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of the night for now. Until next time. Bye-bye. Stay blessed.